think, Marge. All I need is a title.
I don't know. I don't believe in God, but I'm not mad at him.
Well, not even a complete thought in, and you're already raising some eyebrows. See, to an atheist, you can't be mad at something you don't believe in. So,
I became an atheist because I'm not a joiner. I didn't want to be part of a club or a group. It seems like there's this idea perpetuated by atheists that atheists are somehow disenfranchised or left out of the political process. And I don't find that to be the case.
you must not hang out with many atheists then, because perhaps the biggest complaint atheists have about politics is that 99% of the politicians are professed Christians or believers, and a person cannot get elected unless they publicly profess a belief in God.
I think, in fact, atheists have grown more vocal over the past decade or two than ever before. In fact, in many ways, atheists act like a religious body unto themselves.
I think that the increased loudness of the atheist community that you hear is because of the internet, which provides people with a greater number and variety of platforms, such as this one. In terms of messaging, atheists do not have a dogma like religion does. You're not going to burn in some atheist form of hell because you do not believe as we do. Rather, atheism starts with the non-belief in a supernatural being, and from there you have various flavors of atheism, such as hard atheism, which says that there is no God and nothing can convince me otherwise. There's agnostic atheism, which says I don't believe that there is a God, but I don't know completely for certain. And then there's what I call wishful atheism, which says I don't believe that there is a God, but I wish there was some form of higher power, perhaps God. And like the believers, there are many forms of atheism other than what I've just stated.
There's another myth that conservatism is somehow hostile to atheism. I also don't find that to be the case. I'm a conservative atheist. I felt very welcomed by...
Again, this is where some atheists I know of would wonder about you, because most atheists tend to be somewhat liberal, while a good majority of believers tend to be quite conservative. This does not mean that you won't run into a conservative atheist or a liberal Christian, but these people would be outside of the norm.
This party. In fact, I'd go so far as to say conservatism is far more intellectually honest and respectful of atheism than liberalism has been.
Perhaps in non-religious circles, but as I just stated, most believers are conservative. And because the biggest conversation atheists have with believers is one where the opposition attempts very hard to dissuade us of our non-belief, from my perspective, some conservatives are just as closed-minded and hostile to atheists, which makes them a lot more fun to respond to.
For conservatives, atheism is something that is tolerated, respected. We appreciate an intellectual diversity. Most conservative atheists I know, including myself, have a really healthy respect for the role of religion in society and in this country in particular.
Shut up! That's just morons! I'm surrounded by morons!
Now, that statement was complete bullshit, because even the most generous atheist will likely tell you that religion has only gotten more destructive as human history has progressed. Atheists almost never say that religion has been any benefit to human society.
And in contrast, on the left, it seems as though there is this knee-jerk embrace of what is more like a militant hostility, a reaction against intellectual diversity. It's exclusionary. Bill Maher thinks 95% of the world has a neurological disorder. I don't think you'd find that on the right. And for that reason, I'll say it. I think our atheists are better than yours.
I'm not even quite sure what she's trying to say here. Are atheists? Conservative atheists are better than liberal atheists? We don't do that. Anyway, Miss Cupp has not really had a chance to explain her views, so I found another video. Let's give her another try.
I know that it strikes a lot of people as odd that I could be both conservative and an atheist. To me, it never seemed like a contradiction. Like most believers, I think murder is pretty terrible. Like most believers, I agree with pretty much all of the 10 Commandments. We have the same values.
That's because most atheists will tell you that our values do not depend on God.
I just believe that I get them from somewhere else. So there's a lot of common ground for me. And the fact that I'm not a militant atheist who dismisses the beliefs of 95% of the world as crazy, I hope, gives me a little bit more credibility on the issue.
Because believers will do us the same courtesy? What you are saying is that you are willing to allow a believer to live the lie, so to speak, and to allow that person to continue to attack atheists at will, because you are willing to allow them to go on unchallenged.
I got a master's in religious studies. I write all the time about religious issues and defend faith and religious values. So I'm hoping that because I come at it from that sort of nuanced way, my brand of atheism, my version of atheism, it isn't the typical militant, hostile, confrontational, dismissive atheism.
Well, you are free to call yourself an atheist if you wish, but a real atheist would not waste their time defending the faith of the believer. They would either actively stand against the delusion or simply ignore the subject. So you are a part of another form of atheism, the pansy-assed atheist, an atheist who sees nothing wrong with the beliefs and the faith of the believer, and will in fact study, speak out on the behalf of, and defend their delusion. With atheists like you, we don't need more believers.
It really is, for me, from a place of envy and gratitude and understanding and appreciation, and I want to get to the bottom of this story. It's something that I'll always be challenging myself on. There wasn't some trauma where I wrote God off, but I think I was always curious about religion. As a young kid, I was always asking my mom to take me to various houses of worship, and I think when I was 6 or 7, I very much planned on becoming a nun. I was just fascinated by the pomp and ceremony and sort of ritual nature of religion, and yet couldn't completely get there ever. Could not completely wrap my mind around the idea of God. And I tried. I really wanted to.
Again, that's the wishful atheist. The person that says, I don't believe in God, but I wish there was one. This person could very easily get involved with the study of religion and have religious interests, because in your soul, you want something out there to be bigger than you. While that is understandable, it does not validate defending the delusions of the believers.
It just never got there. And I went to Catholic school, and I went to secular school, and throughout all of it, that one question in my brain, I couldn't answer with God. So I decided pretty young, 15 or 16, that I just didn't believe, but that I was going to try to get to a place of greater understanding. And so that's been my project for 20 years now, both personal and academic and professional. And I won't stop with that project until I reach some answers that satisfy me.
So what I think we have here is an atheist who seems intelligent, but has a stupid way of expressing some things. Atheists generally are not as interested in defending believers as they are neutralizing any threat that these people may pose to our ability to live our lives in peace as non-believers. As long as we have politicians in power who do not respect the rights of the non-believer, we actually need fewer atheists like S.E. Cupp and more atheists who are willing to confront the danger that the believers pose. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you have enjoyed it, and consider making a donation to Politics City at our Patreon page, which will be in the links below. Feel free to leave us a comment if you wish.